Right, it's 8:15 on this Wednesday morning. Today, the Apartheid Museum and the Oliver and Adelaide Tambo Foundation will launch an exhibition called Oliver Reginald Tambo, the Most Revolutionary, 1917 to 1993. This is to mark the centenary of the departed struggle icon. Desiree Chauke is at the museum this morning to give us a glimpse into the images that are on display, as well as a discussion that's going to be taking place over the weekend. But let's chat to Desiree. She'll give us more information. Des, good morning to you once again.
Thank you so much once again to our viewers. Welcome to the George Bezos Gallery that is housing this amazing exhibition on Oliver Tambo and telling his story about how he took the struggle against apartheid to the world. We spoke earlier to the Chief Executive Officer of Brand SA, but now we're joined by Emilia Potenza. She is the curator of the exhibition. Emilia, welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Desiree.
Now, before we talk about the exhibition, let's go back to why the Apartheid Museum was started and how it serves our community.
Okay, so the Apartheid Museum was launched in 2001. It was part of the Gold Reef City Casino development, and quite strangely, it was the social responsibility project of the casino, although we are completely independent now, and the casino supports our basic operational costs.
Yeah. You say that through this exhibition you wanted to highlight parts of Oliver Tambo that people don't necessarily know about. I didn't know there are any such.
Oh, yes, indeed. I mean, as we all know, this is the centenary year of Oliver Reginald Tambo, and the exhibition is called A Modest Revolutionary. And I think that Tambo is really extraordinary in that way, that he led the movement for 30 years. He was the glue that kept the movement together in exile, and yet he was a very modest, compassionate, loving man, full of integrity. And I think that, you know, the leadership today could really walk in his footsteps.
You also want to highlight his work in building international solidarity. Tell us about that.
Right, before I do that, I would just like to highlight the fact that Oliver Reginald Tambo was a very religious man. He was a devout Christian. And one of the hardest choices in his life was having to decide whether to be ordained as a minister or whether to go into politics and lead the movement in exile. And when Chief Albert Luthuli, president of the ANC in 1960 after the Sharpeville massacre, instructed Tambo to leave the country before he too was arrested and lead the movement in exile, the choice was made for him.
Yeah. So lead us from there. How does it take us? And in that quick answer, also tell us why you decided to have this particular exhibition.
Right. Okay, so in exile, things were very difficult. There were very few resources. There was very little infrastructure. Tambo was originally based in London, and then Mandela went to visit him in 1962 as part of his Africa trip and gave him the instruction from the ANC that he needed to come to Tanzania. Adelaide and his children stayed behind in London. And although Tambo became known as the father of the nation, he was very absent from his own family. And I think we owe the Tambo family a great debt, because they were lucky if they saw him 2 or 3 times a year. And there's a beautiful quote in the exhibition from Tselani Tambo, his youngest daughter, saying how she loved wearing her dad's jerseys because they had his smell. And they were long and they hung over her legs and over her arms, and she just felt that he was near to her when she was in his jersey.
Listen, if that doesn't give us a sense of what you have here, I don't know what else will. How long did it take to put the exhibition together? Where did you have to go to find material?
Right, so we worked for over a year with a whole team of people, including stalwarts like Joel Nechitenze, Mavuso Msimang, Palo Jordan,
Freni Jinwala,
who were all comrades and close friends of Oliver Tambo in exile. So these were really first-hand sources. We also worked with the family, and we worked with historians, picture researchers, graphic designers, filmmakers, to produce, you know, what you see around us today. It's a large exhibition. It's a grand retrospective on OR, and it's very fitting that we should be hosting this in the centenary year that we're marking this year. and it'll travel. From here, it'll go around the country and hopefully to other destinations around the world.
Traveling exhibition.
Yes, I'm really hoping that the missions of the South African embassies, around the world will host this exhibition in one form or another. It's an obvious one for them to do.
Before we go out to the missions throughout the world, let's talk about the people of South Africa. How can they interact with this exhibition?
Right, so it's on display here until the end of September. So I encourage people to come to the museum to see it. It's besides the panels that you can see here, there are 5 films dealing with different periods of OR's life, but there's also an episode from a very acclaimed series that was produced called Have You Heard from Johannesburg?
Okay.
One of the episodes...
We're going to have to leave it there. My Joburg office is telling me we have to cut now, but Emilia Potenza is the exhibition head here. She also handles education and talking to us about the Oliver Tambo, the modest revolutionary exhibition taking place here. She gave you the dates here, and they'll also have a launch event in the afternoon.